Hello, everybody. Henry the Weed Eater, man. I think I could have 20 million plus discussions about life. It's amazing. I've just been sitting back in reality, and when I turned 60, just kind of reflecting back on things. I've collected so much knowledge, and I try to read and study and Google stuff and learn and try to educate myself. Just recently, I heard a news thing in the morning. I get up at 3:30. I usually listen to news about 4 o'clock. And the guy's on there talking, and he's talking about demographics. He's talking about humans. And this is what I don't understand, and people need to understand in the news media, the entertainment and society, just as a human. There's 7 billion people on the planet. I would say at the most, out of that 7 billion, 500 to 1 billion have access to something. Can't be a lot. I don't think it's a lot. I'm not a professional to put a number on that, but I'm just thinking it's not a lot. So he's on the news talking about demographics. I think what struck me the most, because I go through my background again, I probably have the equivalent to a 6th grade education. My success over my lifespan of 50 years, I'll use 50 years, where I was more coherent at 10 and I was walking the fields and picking weeds. That was my first real job as a paycheck. I remember that. Picking weeds and moving the irrigation pipe that weighed probably 18 to 30 pounds. I don't know. Full of water in the blazing heat in Wisconsin for 3 months when I was not in school. My parents were poor, so I worked, brought a check home. I was able to keep money. I bought a Yamaha 100 motorcycle. That's how I got back and forth to the fields. And then when I got older, I shoveled and I pushed and I cut grass. And I made more money to help my parents. Everything always went to them. And then I got older and I worked at the irrigation fields again. Then I started working at canneries. But let's go back to the news media guy. So I became self-aware real quick at 17 that school wasn't me. The things they wanted me to be and who they wanted me to be wasn't me, right? I couldn't go home and understand why I had to read a book, come back and take a flipping test on it to prove that I read the book. And then I would know the book and the answers better than the tests because they use wrong punctuation or they use the wrong word or they missed something or misquoted out of the book. And then I wanted to correct the teacher. So at 17, I woke up and said, I'm out of here. At 17, my self-awareness, I went all the way to Italy to a carrier at 17 from Wisconsin, working in the canneries in the fields, by myself, without my mom and dad. The Navy didn't help me. All they gave me was a ticket and a sea bag and said, go to the Kennedy. Where's it at? Naples, Italy. That's all I had to go on at 17. So to tell me and put me in a demographic of undereducated, high school dropout, GED, don't have college, can't decide and make decisions on who to vote for this frickin' country, on national TV and downplaying somebody's education at the human level because they have that college and education and their path of life took them down to be a newscaster, to stand in front of people and dictate to them that they are who they are and they shouldn't make that decision because they don't have the same credentials as he did sitting in the classroom, and he could drink that Kool-Aid and he can listen to that teacher and he can believe in a process that I felt was taking me down a corrupt road and not helping me be who I am today. I am who I am today because I looked through the rhetoric, I looked through the forest, and I saw the tree of opportunity, right? And I went after it. And I continue to do that today at 60 years old. I always look at an opportunity when I'm at work around others to show them the tree through the forest, that you don't need to have a college education. You don't need to have a GED. You don't need to have all these great certificates of success, that it's all about you and you staying focused and not letting somebody put you in a jar and treat you like a flea and only let you jump 6 inches when your human potential, and we've proven human potential, is to go to the moon. Don't let somebody on TV, in the news media, in our artistry industry, millionaires, billionaires, flipping supinaires, to dictate to you that you can only jump 6 inches when you have the ability to go to the moon. People went to the moon because they didn't allow others to put a cap on them and keep them at a unrealistic potential of who they are. That's my advice to you today. That's my experience to you today. If I allowed my key person in my life, which was my father, to tell me that I wouldn't make it, I wouldn't succeed, I wouldn't be where I am today. He put that cover on that jar and didn't want me jumping more than 6 inches. When he took me to the airport to go fly overseas, all he did was stand there and say, good luck. I had no coach. I had no backing. I had no thought forward except to succeed. And I did it at 17 years old. I did it through hazing. I did it through physical hazing. I did it through mental hazing. I did it by bullying. I did it through all the quagmire the whole time. And I picture myself today as a giant. And I take all those people that were in front of me, my father, my grandfathers, my leaders, my co-workers, and anybody that stood in front of me, I batted them down with a hammer, and this is my cartoon figure of me, and I turned into this giant, and I got taller. And each of those figures that were in my way, I put a shackle around their neck, I put a chain on it, and they're dragging behind me. And I've been dragging that stuff my whole career behind me to keep telling them, see, I did it. And now follow me or get dragged. Follow me and walk beside me or get dragged. That's my cartoon figure of me, is I'm as tall and bigger than the Eiffel Tower with a chain running to a shackle around their neck. And I am dragging those that wanted to hold me down and suppress me and tell me that I wasn't educated. I don't write emails right. I don't speak correctly. I don't think the same way. I don't walk the same way. You're a flea. You'll stay in a 6-inch jar. You'll never make first class. You'll never make chief. You'll never make a senior chief. You'll never be a cob. And I broke all those chains, and each one of those negative persons are now dangling behind me like a sack that Santa Claus carries, and they're back there watching who I am. And I put it on social media. I put it on Facebook, and I show these type of people, these naysayers, that you don't have education, you didn't go to college, you didn't graduate school, you don't have the knowledge, you're a blue-collar worker, and you'll never have the chance to go to the moon because you're that freaking flea I'm going to put in a jar and put a lid on it. If you ever want to understand the flea analogy, and I'll post it one day, go listen to Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey, when I look at TV and I watch Family Feud every night religiously, I do it because I emulate and I see me as Steve Harvey. I see Steve Harvey as me, as the Henry that watched society to want to put him in a jar and treat him like a flea that had a potential to jump 6 feet and only could jump 6 inches because he's trapped in a jar, but he broke free. He broke free of the chains, put his naysayers in the chains and shackles, and carries them around on his back and talks about it openly. Steve Harvey is what I say is the epitome of Henry. He's the guy that succeeded and broke free of the society of change that tries to dictate to us and tell us what we should be. What you should be is what your passion is. What you should be, what you can do for yourself. What you should be is what you want for yourself and not what somebody else wants you to be. That's my pitch to you. That's all I can do with you. That's all I want to help do with people, is don't become the flea. Be the human. Have the potential to go as far as you want and to the moon and back if you wish. But love one another. Find peace in your heart. Lift somebody up today. Don't make them a flea. Don't envy them. Don't hold them back. Don't criticize them. And that's all I can say. Love every human you can and make them better than yourself. That's Henry, and I call myself the Weed Eater Man. And I'm out.